G'day and welcome back to the Mastering Risk Podcast. I'm Dr. D, your host. Today we're going to talk about why risk matters to an entrepreneur. Why should you give up beep about risk? So sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverages. Let's get at her. All right, thanks again for joining us. I know the background seems the same. I say several times over, had a cool contract with somebody who was going to do some work. Didn't quite work out. These things happen. Yes, we're going to change the studio behind us, bring up some mastering risk artwork and bring it forward. But hey, that's perfectly fine. Listen, today what we want to talk about is why risk should matter to an entrepreneur, right? So when you look at the statistics that come out of the Small Business Administration in the U.S. and some academic surveys that have come out on entrepreneurship, you're looking at near 70 million Americans and upwards of 15 million Canadians have dabbled to some degree in the gig economy. Now, when we think about the gig economy, we're talking about anybody who is doing something other than a salary, right? Because when you think about it, you have three options to earn money in the world. That's it. You can choose a profession. A profession has fixed entrance requirements. It has a governing body that oversees it, who gets in, who's kicked out, discipline of members within the profession, and it has a fixed organizational status. So doctors, lawyers, electricians, plumbers, metal workers, tool die makers, they're all part of professions that are actually have a piece of legislation behind it. For example, in the province of Ontario where I live, there is a medical act that says what doctors are allowed to do to you. It's actually prescribed in legislation. That governs the profession. So you can join a profession. You don't get to negotiate what you do or don't do in the profession and how you enter it and what training is required. It's fixed for you. So you have the option of a profession. The other option you have is time for money, and that's salaried work. And it doesn't matter what you're in. You're doing something for somebody else in exchange for a salary, be it hourly, be it monthly, whatever you've got it arranged. You're simply exchanging your skills and labor for someone else's money. Your third option is entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is when you start a business and you go out on your own and you do something. So those 15 million Canadians that are or have dabbled in the gig economy, we're talking about Uber drivers, Skip drivers. We're also talking about people like myself who have their own private company. In Canada, it's called a CCPC, a Canadian Controlled Private Corporation. And so it's similar to an LLC or an SSC in the United States. They have slightly different rules, but you've started something on your own. You're working for yourself. You determine what work is done, what's not done, the hours that are worked, and the wage that you'll be able to take out, whether you're paying yourself in dividends from your business or you're paying yourself in a salary. So what we see coming with the advent of AI is you're going to see significant pressure on those who earn wages. And that means that middle piece. Less so the professions, to some degree, sure. Chartered accountants, lawyers, and some professions will see immediate significant impact. But the biggest pressure will be on those who have chosen to live their lives in a way where they exchange their money and time for a salary. Those people are going to be the immediate set of workers who are affected by AI, and they're going to push out. And the professions have a limited capacity, so the only place for these people to go, if you can no longer trade your time and energy for a salary, and just look at the job market now. People are talking about applying to 300 companies and 300 jobs and not getting a return. The push is putting people into entrepreneurship. And in today's world of the digital nomad and the digital ability to use the internet, AI, and a whole bunch of other products that are available for you, the ability for you to start a business is incredible. And AI is pushing the necessity for a good portion of the salaried workers. Some estimates are as high as 50%. I'm not going to get the numbers. I'm not going to go down that road of the numbers game, how many will or will not lose their job because of AI. But there's going to be a significant number of humans whose job is going to change structurally or hourly to a point where they can no longer rely on that salary to support themselves and their family, and they're going to have to generate alternate income. And with that pressure being on salaried workers, you can't just go and apply somewhere else and apply for a different job and apply to be this. If you're not willing to pursue a profession with all of their structured entrance requirements and training requirements, and you simply want a new job that pays better and more security, those are going away. Or they're going to be, the competition for them is going to be that much higher. So as you start to look at entrepreneurship, you say, okay, I'm going to have to generate income. Well, some people do it as simply as an Etsy store, and they make handmade cups like my coffee cup here, and they sell them for $15 plus shipping. That's a possibility. Some people like myself prefer the digital landscape, where we create digital products, digital communities, and digital information, and then we sell that to a certain population for a price point that is based upon value, etc. But in any case, you're going to have a problem if you don't know what you intend to do. And so what we're looking at is, as you work into entrepreneurship, and we've got a great video coming up on how to be an entrepreneur in Canada that's going to go step by step. But when you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneurial venture, or at least starting a bit of a side hustle or something similar to that, you have to think about, what is it that you're good at? What is it that you like to do? And what is it that you could think you might be able to exchange, create a product, a good or a service, and exchange for money? But we're talking about risk. And if we think about risk, you're entering something you're not familiar with. You're entering an arena of incredible competition. Sometimes if you're entering now, for example, if you said, I'm going to start digital e-learning, I'm going to start building courses on subject that I'm an expert in, you're entering a marketplace where people have been doing this for 15 years. So your skill set, as much as it may be in your area of expertise, where you don't have leverage, is the idea that there are people out there that have been doing this for 10 or 15 years and have already made all the mistakes that you're probably about to make and figure out a way around them. So how do you leverage that? How do you get around this risk that you're presented with? We categorize risk here at Preparedness Labs Incorporated in our Mastering Risk program. We categorize risk in four operational areas. And we say that because all too often when people introduce risk or business continuity or some new field to entrepreneurs, they're like, here's a whole new set of language. Here's a whole nomenclature. Here's a set of rules that you don't understand, and I'm here as the expert to explain to you. Rather, we think it's more intelligent to say, you're operating in these four areas. This is how a business works, and there's only four areas. And so we build the risk around what you already do, so you don't have to learn any new terminology. You just have to say, hey, in each of these four areas, this is how I'm operating. This is what I'm intending to do. What does the world look like? So, number one is strategic. And this is probably the first area that you'll jump into as an entrepreneur when you think, and that your first set of risks that you'll face. You're starting an idea. You've got an idea, whether out of necessity or desire, to start earning some type of side income that's not tied to somebody else's business, whether that be an Uber driver, etc. What's your plan? That's strategy. Strategy is taking an idea and understanding the question. Now, there's a difference between strategic thinking and strategic planning. Strategic thinking is always about what is the question and what is the problem I'm facing. Strategic thinking is always about where I'm going to go and what's the roadmap look like that I might achieve that. So when you sit back with your whiteboard or your scribbler or your piece of paper or your notes app, whatever it is that you prefer, and you sit back and say, okay, what do I want to start? How do I see it growing? And where do I want to take it? That's your strategic area. And there's a bunch of risks that are present there. Competitors, there's risks around whether the market and the regulations and the rules, depending on what you're getting into, the upfront costs. There's a whole bunch of things. So we talk about strategic risk is about understanding the environment in which you're about to jump in with 2 feet and be an entrepreneur, which, by the way, we think is incredible and you should go for it. But go for it understanding the risk that you're jumping into. The second part is going to be Operational. You're going to make or buy something. And I've spent a career as a professional logistician. And as a business owner, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to make something from scratch, be it digital or physical product, or you're going to buy it. You're going to make a make or buy product, make or buy decision based upon the service or good that you want to provide. You're going to get it from where it is now to the customer. You're going to handle customer management, returns if potential, and all of this you have to manage. So how you manage that, how you conduct that set of operations, how you conduct that end-to-end life cycle of your product is what matters. And that's your operational system. And your operational system is exactly what you're going to do day to day and all of the risks that are involved in it. Supplier risk, first chain, second chain supplier risk. What could or what might not go wrong when you use a certain supplier. What about the systems and the computer programs that you're going to use to support your operations? Are you going to do an Etsy store? Is it going to be a print on demand through Shopify? Is it going to be a book through Amazon? Or are you going to try to find an additional indie publisher or something? These are all operational questions. You're brilliant. You've got an idea, but there are risks embedded everywhere. So we want to talk to you about operational risk. The next one that you face is cyber. Nobody is doing anything without cyber nowadays. Everybody's on the internet, everybody's online, everybody's on apps, and everybody gets hacked. 91% of small businesses faced a significant disruption last year. Of that, of the ones that faced significant shutdown, 50% never reopen. Basic cyber crime is taking down a significant portion of startup businesses today because they don't understand the risk environment. They jump in, they sign up for this, they sign up for that free deal. I'm going to use this free software to start my website. I'm going to use this free software to do my email. I'm going to use this software to do this and this software to do that. Before they know it, they have no idea the mess and craziness that they've created out of great ideas. How do you protect this thing you're building online? What are things that you should do to embrace what we refer to as good cyber culture or proper cyber hygiene? These are things that will protect your small business from, to the greatest extent possible, from nefarious actors. Now, the vast majority of nefarious actors are just phishing. This is where they send out potential hacks to thousands of companies a day, knowing that only one of every 10,000 will respond or will click on a link or will open an attachment or something along that lines. Very few small businesses suffer from coordinated attacks, but when they do, they generally can take you down. So what's your strategy for that? What is your offsite strategy? What is your backup strategy? All that inherent risk. It doesn't mean you don't play in the cyber domain. It means you learn how to play in the cyber domain in a helpful way, in a safer way. Because remember, anybody out there in this line of business that tries to tell you you can prevent something from happening, they're wrong. You nor I have the ability to prevent anything. All that we can do is mitigate the effect. So the idea of embracing risk as an entrepreneur is that through that strategic, through that operational, and through that cyber presence that you have, you're going to take a number of steps to mitigate to the greatest extent possible, and then you're going to have a strategy for what happens when the big bad day occurs, because it will. Every one of us has been the victim of some type of nefarious actor at one point or another. It's just the world. I don't wish the world to be this way, but this is the way the cyber world exists. And your fourth area of risk that's really important is reputational. And you only have to look at what's been going on over the last couple of weeks with people's commentary on certain events and people's commentary elsewhere. And I've had this debate with people on X. I know we want to live in a world where you're allowed to separate your personal comments from your business comments, but that world doesn't exist. Everything I say on the internet, be it typing it on X or putting it on a Facebook post, is tied to my company. There is no way for me to separate my personal opinion and my company. You might want that world to exist, but it doesn't. Yes, I know a number of countries have legislation against that. That's great. Don't worry. If you cheese off your employer, they'll find another way. So what we advocate for in Reputational is two things. One, having total neutrality. Make sure that absolutely everything you type on the internet in any forum to anybody, including a private message, that you would be happy and joyful to see blasted across the internet. And if the answer is not true, I don't want people to see that, then you don't type it. That's net neutrality. Keep it simple, keep it stable, stay out of the political, economic, industrial, political, religious, all these other debates that are on the going. If you jump in with 2 feet, that's fine. You have every right to, but just remember, you're taking your company with it. And there's no way to separate those two. And we see that when the cancel culture gets a hold of an individual or a company and goes after it, it doesn't matter if you're right, because it's often too late for you to try to rescue your reputation if somebody goes after it. So how do you mitigate that to the greatest extent possible? You stay above the board. You keep a positive relationship with everybody. You say positive reinforcing things. And you keep your political discussions to around the campfire, having a cup of coffee, maybe a whiskey or a beer around a campfire, and you keep it to that. Otherwise, you are just inviting the trolls of the internet, and I get them regularly. My company puts out probably at peak about 400 pieces of individual social media presence every week across 5 different platforms. I get trolls. I get them all the time. People are always coming in, not always, but fairly regularly coming in and telling me how much of an idiot I am, or how wrong I am, or how little I know, or where did I get my PhD? It must be from a Cracker Jack box or from some other source. Fine. If I'm not willing to accept every one of those attacks against me, then I can't play the game of being out here in the internet. So you just have to be aware that people are going to say all kinds of things about you, and you just have to smile and wave and take it. You may not agree with it, but that's reputational. You defend your reputation by not exposing your reputation to something crazy. And so when you hire employees or you hire affiliates or you do something like that, you have to make sure that you vet them through your lens. So as an entrepreneur, when you look at all of those 4 risks, they can be a lot there. So we simplify it in all these offerings. So our YouTube channel, our podcast, Mastering Risks, both by the same name, put out information every week, sometimes twice a week, talking about how to be safe as you can as an entrepreneur. And our target audience is solo entrepreneurs and small, medium businesses. Those of you out there that are probably less than $1 million top line revenue, or at least less than 3 million top line revenue. You have 0 to 10 employees. You're a small mom and pop shop trying to get ahead in this world, and you want to understand how to navigate risk without having to hire a $25,000 a year risk management professional, business continuity professional to give you a 200-page binder with all these cool plans, risk registers and matrices, and all of these things that really, when you're a solo entrepreneur, mean absolutely nothing to you. That's what we offer. Over on our website, preparednesslabs.ca, we have Mastering Risk, the course. Talks about in detail those 4 areas of risk, a bunch of handouts, and a bunch of really cool information that gets you across the start line. How do you start a safer version of an entrepreneurial venture online, operationally, in the cyber domain, and with your strategic and reputational considerations included? How do you do that? That's the course. And then we believe in social capital. I'm a professional researcher. I'm a professor in social capital. And we talk about the power and the value of human relationships. The fact that you're not in this alone. You're not the only entrepreneur. So you should not expect to have to navigate the risk and the risk profile in the entrepreneurial world on your own. But where do you go to find other solo entrepreneurs like yourself? Where do you go, Matt? Facebook groups. Do you really want another Facebook group to belong to? What we've created is Mastering Risk, the community. And that is a monthly subscription for a nominal amount of money, and it's 50% off if you get the course. A nominal amount of money that gets you a new piece of risk management information at least every 96 hours into your inbox. The latest, what's going on, what you need to consider, delivered to your inbox, and you consume as you see fit. We give it to you in 5 points, 5 paragraphs, or 5 pages. You can read the small amount, you can read the big amount, completely up to you at your time and leisure. And then once a month, you get into our 2-hour Zoom call that talks about the last 30 days in risk, the next 30 days in risk management and entrepreneurial, and then it's a collective conversation. Everybody in the community gets on the call and we talk about risk management as a small entrepreneur. I'm there not only as the moderator, but I'm also there learning from everybody as well, because I'm a small business owner. You're a small business owner. You're starting an entrepreneurial venture. Where do you go for all the other people that are facing your stress? How many people in your friend group can have top line to bottom line conversion rates? How many understand churn ratios in businesses? How many understand the difficulty of integrating 3 different cyber programs? You talk about it in a group, you ask questions, and this membership, we limit it to 50 people. That's it. Only 50 people get into this so that we can provide you the best possible service. That's it. Everybody else, I'll put them on a waiting list. When somebody decides to cancel their monthly subscription, the first person on the waiting list gets an invitation to join. That's what we do here at Mastering Risk. Provide you the initial education and then an ongoing monthly subscription. And we keep it monthly. Because I'll be honest with you, just like your customers, I need to earn your trust and your business. I need to demonstrate every month the value that's worth the exchange of the nominal amount of money that we ask for. And so you be that judge. I'm not looking to get you into a yearly subscription. No, I'm not trying to tie you down. And if you decide to leave, you get to keep absolutely everything up to that point. And you can walk away. And if there's an open position, you can join again when you see fit. It's a community. It's all of us coming together to help each other grow in this entrepreneurial world as we're all being pressured by AI in our salary jobs, and we're looking down the barrel of potentially reduction in hours, reduction in salary, and for a small but still unknown size of the population, becoming redundant because of AI. So what is your strategy going forward? If it's an entrepreneurship, obviously we recommend that, but understand the risk profile so you set yourself up for the greatest success possible. And then as the disruptions occur, you're part of a community that helps each other out. That's what we're here. We're here for each other. We're here to carry forward. We're here to support each and every one of the members of Mastering Risk, the community, to make sure that we can help each other solve the issues that we face. So as you sit back and you say, I'm already an entrepreneur and things are dicey, I'm thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or I'm just worried about what AI might do to my future ability to earn an income within the sliver of the world where I work, join us. Follow us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow the podcast. None of that costs any money. It just provides you free information. And here at our company, Preparedness Labs Incorporated, we talk about non-apocalyptic, evidence-based education. And that means we're not here to tell you the sky is falling, but we're here to tell you it's going to be pretty disruptive for a whole bunch of political, economic, and natural disasters that are happening around the world. How do you navigate that? How do you become successful? That's what we're here for. But everything that we tell you, everything in Mastering Risk, the course, and everything in the community is evidence-based. I'm a professional researcher. I'm a professor, which means I'm not going to provide you advice that is not grounded in evidence. It's not belief. It's not opinion, but it's actual evidence-based advice as to how you can mitigate a risk you're facing to the greatest extent possible, accepting the fact that what we say here and what we might find together in the community, nothing will mitigate your risk profile to zero. That's an impossibility. You will face risk, but you're an entrepreneur. You've got the entrepreneurial spirit. You wouldn't be here if accepting a little bit of bump in the road and some risk wasn't what you were looking for. So thanks again for joining us this week at Mastering Risk. Make sure that you follow us, like, subscribe, do all of those things. Tell your friends about us and sit back and enjoy all the content we have for you, helping you succeed in this crazy, wild ride that is the 2020s. Take care. Stay safe.